Hello, welcome to the Arise with Anita podcast with our special astrology episode regarding the new moon in Taurus with the beautiful Melanie Marisol. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful evening or morning wherever you are.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Melanie Marisol, and I am a business astrologer. I work with small and medium enterprise CEOs to help them unearth their divine assignment and build out their legacy impact.
Awesome. And if you guys are wanting to connect with Melanie, more information will be linked down below, and we will definitely get into how she can serve you later on in the video. But for right now, it's going to be all about the new moon in Taurus. So while I'm not the astrology expert here, hence why I brought on the beautiful Melanie Marisol, um, we're going to go ahead and see what the energy of this couple of weeks is going to be like for us.
Great. So, at the time of this recording, the new moon in Taurus is going to be happening on May 19th, and there's a lot of interesting cosmic activity going on. Additionally, the Jupiter, the sign of, or excuse me, the planet of expansion, good luck, and abundance, is moving into the sign of Taurus as of May 16th. So it's going to be there until around May 26th of 2024. And that is really just a time to really expand into your opportunities by descending and grounding into the earth, as Taurus is the sign of affluence, um, Empress energy. It's the sign of the five earthly delights. It's very much focused on pleasure, also stacking cash, increasing your self worth, reevaluating your values, accumulating material possessions. It's a very materialistic sign. It doesn't necessarily have to be the negative interpretation of the word. But basically, Taurus is out here encouraging you to ground and chill out, whereas the previous Jupiter placement which was in Aries for last year. Aries is about really like divine masculinity and rushing in and making bold actions and like not really overthinking, whereas Taurus asks you to kind of sit and ground. So whereas Aries rules the head, Taurus rules the neck and the throat. So it's a good time for the next 12 months to exercise your throat chakra in any way. This could be as much as singing, creating music, or launching a podcast, speaking on podcasts, getting your message out and broadcasting it in some sort of way. But you're doing it
Your
broadcasting,
story.
yes, from a grounded place versus if Jupiter was in the sign of Gemini, for example, you kind of be flitting about or maybe be tweeting a bunch. This is more like actually using your actual voice. Additionally, before we get into the horoscopes, I just wanted to give you a general overview. Very potent day on May 19th here. We have the sun sextiling Mars, the planet of taking action. It's also sextiling Neptune, which is the planet of fantasy, boundarylessness, imagination, and the arts. So sextiling just means it really works out well. So again, it's a good time if you have a Taurus sun, for example, to take an action, again, grounded in that Neptunian energy of like imagination and play. Additionally, we do have the moon also sextiling Mars as well. So those with the Taurus moon, especially, again, good time to take action on something. Maybe you've been wanting to launch a podcast for a long time. Maybe you're a singer and you've been wanting to join the Grammys, for example. I used to work for the Grammys, so it's a good time to apply. It's actually very accessible. So again, this is hashtag not sponsored by the Grammys. I just telling you just what's coming through as a recording. It's a good time to join a professional organization, for example, that allows you to exercise your voice. Um, we also have the moon. Excuse me, it is trining Pluto. So your innermost self might be I guess working well with Pluto, the planet of regeneration, rebirth, tearing down things that doesn't really stand tall. It's not really meant to be. So maybe you might be wrapping up a dark night of the soul, for example, and then now you're going to be reborn as well. And we also have Mercury, the planet of communication, and also message storytelling, sharing your message, is also going to be conjunct Jupiter as well. So Jupiter, Taurus, and Mercury all kind of working out well on the 19th. Good day to communicate your message, broadcast it, speak it, perform it, if you will. And the more you are able to speak your truth, the more you magnetize the good luck and opportunities and abundance.
We
Is there
love to hear it. So, just as a side note, this is going to be a great time for those of you with a closed throat chakra to really start putting your voice into play. So, you know, if you've had the feeling of like maybe not being able to speak your truth in whatever shape, form possible, or maybe you're not showing up authentically, this would be a great time to go ahead and exhibit those emotions, and not from a place of victimhood, but coming from this is my truth and this is where I'm going to take my heart and really showcase it. So it's a good time really to explore and to really dive deep within yourself first, and also share that and actually allow yourself to create authentic connection with others in your relationships, your friendships, and even those on social media.
Mm-hmm. Additionally, with Jupiter in Taurus, you need to look at where Jupiter in Taurus is activating which area of life for you. So for me, it's personally activating my 11th house of groups and community. And then later on next year, it'll be activating my 12th house, which is associated with reprogramming the subconscious mind. So some people are really super aligned with the signs and the activity in the houses, whereas other people will have two areas of life activated over the next 12 months. So you can look that up by looking at your chart. So if you have no more questions, Anita, I will go into the collective horoscopes.
No questions yet. You're doing
All right,
great.
thank you. So anybody watching this on YouTube, if you look down into the description, you will have timestamps, so you can always skip ahead. All of the horoscopes here are for sun, moon, or rising signs. So sometimes you might feel called to read each of your big three. Other times you might just be called to just read your rising. So again, with whatever I am sharing in the collective horoscopes, take what resonates and leave the rest. And we will begin with Aries, Sun, Moon, or Risings. So, if you are an Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this is a ripe time to plant the seeds of great wealth and prosperity, as this could be activating your second house. So you are used to really taking quick action, but this is actually the time to ease into pleasure and ground down in order to plant the best seeds to make the wisest financial decisions with your eyes wide open versus not really having all the information that you need. So take the time to really plant conscious seeds for how you can stack your physical cash over the this particular new moon, and I would also say probably the next 12 months. For Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Risings, this is a very fertile time to build the foundations that will support your fullest, truest, most authentic self-expression. So this is a time of, I'm not going to say reinventing yourself, but allowing yourself to remove everything that is not you and show up in your fullest expression. And also, I'm also getting for some Taurus moon, sun, moon, or risings. This is a great time to even maybe switch up your hairstyle or something, change something about your physical appearance if you feel called. This is like kind of the glow up new moon for you. So whatever it is that makes yourself feel amazing and hot, go for it. This is the time. For Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Risings, this could be an intense new moon for you, as this is an activation of your deepest fears, wounds, or unhelpful patterns that are embedded in your subconscious mind. So this is time to really dive deep into the depths of your soul to uncover what source wants to bring up in order to heal for you. So for you guys, again, intense new moon might be happening for you, but this is really all this is coming up for your highest good. So whatever you need to do to clear these unhelpful patterns going forward, as we want to be focused on this new moon's ripeness for not only subconscious mind reprogramming, but maybe even communicating guided meditations, for example. Maybe this could be referring to recording your own meditations, sharing them on YouTube. Anything involving meditation and music and or sound baths can support you during this time. And then maybe it might be maybe a lucrative income stream for you. So sit with that. For Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Risings, this is a time to dream expansively into who you want to welcome into your friend groups and communities. This goes for local groups or even online communities. So this is a really good time to reach out to those who you admire the most, either in real life or online, people that maybe you followed for years. This is a great time to forge connections and dream of unexpected, yet wildly successful collaborations. Maybe like the stranger, the more unpredictable, the better. So networking is the name of the game for this new moon and probably for the next 12 months for you. So how will you best utilize this magnetic electric energy? For Leo, Sun, Moon, or Risings, this is a reimagining of your career and life's work and your public reputation. So how can you weave the energy that you naturally emanate into how you present yourself to the public, especially online? So if you're not currently engaged in your life's work, how can you begin to plant the seeds towards what your soul longs to do? So for those that are not necessarily doing with their majority of the time what they really want to be doing, how can you begin to plant the seeds of your deepest truth and how you fully want to express yourself? So for example, say you are working a day job in like food service, but secretly you want to be a musician. Okay. Even if you're not trying to strive necessarily to be Lady Gaga, how can you get closer to working in music? And so you can leave the job that might be draining you. So this is a great time to set the intentions for that, as the new moon is about intention setting, right? For Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Risings, you are going to have, this is a great time to reevaluate and reinvigorate your soul's quest and search for truth and meaning. So it's an excellent time to refresh your outlook on your spiritual practices or rituals. You can do this by taking a spontaneous road trip or other travel adventure. So breaking out of any stale routines and choosing to expand your horizons culturally, either domestically by becoming a tourist in your own city or traveling internationally. And if you can't do that, anything involving like taking a class online, maybe about a subject you've always been interested in, how can you expand your mind that way? Let's see. For Libra, Sun, Moon, or Risings, there is a lot of Scorpio vibes happening for you during this new moon as well. So this is a time of deep diving into the occult, the esoteric, or the taboo when it comes to deepening your intimacy with yourself or others. And since this is a Taurus new moon, this is also a time that you can review all your options and drop into pleasure as you plan out your next money moves to grow your exponential wealth, either for this particular new moon or for the next 12 months. So that is kind of like an 8th house energy overlay. So Taurus typically rules the 2nd house. So 2nd house is about stacking cash money. The 8th house is more about growing exponential wealth, merging resources with other people, doing advantageous business partnerships, maybe doing investments in either the stock market, real estate, or something else unexpected. Really sitting down and planting the seeds for how you're going to grow exponential wealth. Also, I find maybe for some people, this can be a good time for venture capitalist endeavors. So throwing that out there. It's just what's coming to me right now. Let's see. For those that have Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Risings, this is a good time to really get real with what you need in a relationship, friendship, or romantic or otherwise. So what do you really need? What needs to happen to be the best version of you? So what do you need in a partner? What traits do they need to possess for you to be your full self-expression? And then after you're done listing those out, how can you give that to yourself first? Since the relationship with yourself is the most important.
And I think I said it in one of our other videos, but to just throw out the reminder, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are.
Mhm.
So, ladies, if you're out here searching for a hot, rich husband, become the hot, rich wife first. I'm just saying.
Right. Actually, I was just thinking about that yesterday morning. There's a whole thing online and in real life, and it's called the hypergamy community, or the level up community. And it's very much focused into like getting the bag and whatnot, bagging a billionaire or whatever. If that is what you want as a woman, I'm speaking to the women right now. If that's what you want as a woman, that's totally cool. No judgment at all. Don't care what you do. But are you the type of woman that the billionaire would want to be with? This is not necessarily referring to changing your physical appearance. What I'm talking about, undergoing plastic surgery, anything crazy like that. Nothing superficial. More so, um, is this is your behavior aligned with the high caliber man that you're searching for? Are you the high caliber woman first? And as Anita was saying, it's right. You want a hot, rich husband. You need to be the hot, rich wife yourself. Get your finances in order if that's what you want. It's not because you're not worthy of who you are, which is another thing with Taurus, which Taurus is also about ruling self-worth. It's an excellent time for all signs to improve their self-worth, right? Um, but are you feeling these feelings within yourself and you're feeling confident? So in the event that you do find maybe you encounter organically your hot rich husband, you are ready to receive him. You're not doing it from a place of not feeling like enough. Okay. Okay, right in the corner here, we have Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So this is a very good time to kind of reconnect with your inner child. So typically, Capricorn is very serious, very adult, it's a very mature sign, very much focused on the long term. For this new moon, this is more focused on how can you make space for your inner child to be expressed. Um, how can you bring more joy and self-expression into your work life? And let's be honest, if you're a Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising, work is kind of part of your identity, like what your life's work is. So how can we infuse some joy and some play in this thing? How can we have some pleasure, right? Pleasure doesn't have to be sexual. It can also just mean fun, you know? Capricorn has a hard time relying,
Silliness. They have a
right?
hard time being silly. Let's just admit it.
Yeah, right. So how can you carve out that time? We're not saying go be irresponsible, but how can you have more fun, right? Because once you get to a certain financial point in life as well, the more fun you have, the more money you make. So especially if you're a Capricorn, I'm sure you guys you're all about working hard. So is there a way that you've gotten to the financial stability you've been seeking, where it's like, oh, I could actually take a day off and I could kind of have fun and like go chill, maybe even go to Disneyland, maybe even hang out with my kids, right? If you have kids. So, how can you infuse that into this new moon and probably for the next 12 months as well? Let's see, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. This is a good time to either reevaluate and beautify your home. Anything that involves any kind of nurturing, nesting, activation, maybe going within. So, how can you kind of make your home more homey, right? This is especially for people that their house might be like kind of sterile. Maybe they're not there a lot. Maybe they travel a lot for work. So how can you ground into the home and make it a nest and a sanctuary? Additionally, with this kind of Cancerian overlay, with Aqua, Sun, Moon, and Risings, this is a good time to maybe reevaluate your ancestry as well. This has been coming up for me personally, but maybe for other people as well. How can you connect to the people that brought you into this life? How can you have that connection for this new moon?
Appreciation.
Yes, yes. And for the next 12 months. And finally, for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Risings, this is a really great time to rebrand yourself, maybe for social media, having a social media refresh. Maybe it could even be taking a social media break or hiatus for a little bit, so that you can ground into the pleasure and slow living luxury that is Taurus energy. And that's a good thing to think about this year as well. You are really good at understanding how the collective works, Pisces. So how can you kind of take this knowledge and weave it into your business and your business's message as well? that's a good time to refresh it, especially if it's feeling a little bit stale. So that is all I have for the collective horoscopes. Miss Anita, do you have any other questions?
Not so much of a question, but just because we went through this experience last when we did the full moon, I was wondering if you would go ahead and touch on what it feels like to be in a shadow period and how that might affect someone. So whether it's a full moon, a new moon, either one, you might be affected a little more than the other. So maybe you can touch a bit on that.
Yeah, so for shadow periods, I know people have like opinions like Mercury retrograde, it's horrible, like life is trash. I don't believe that with Mercury retrograde. I have great things that happen during Mercury retrograde. We are technically, for example, still in the Mercury retrograde shadow period until May 21st. So it just means that like things are going to be revealed. So go live your life. Depending upon your personal birth chart, there might be some full moons where you're really just thriving and you're loving the energy. And some full moons are just like kicking your butt and you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Maybe some new moons are wonderful for you and it's light and bright and breezy. And maybe for others, the full moon is great, but the new moon has been horrible, right? It just seems like that. There is probably an astrological explanation in your chart. But regardless, despite the fact that you might have a shadow period, leaning into the shadow is really the key to getting what you want. And I know with the law of attraction community, more old school law of attraction people, where it's like I have to push down the negative emotions. Um, I have opinions about that, but now that I'm an adult, I find that by engaging in the negative emotions, just like really getting curious on like why they are coming up, you're able to actually integrate and transmute them faster than if you try to push them down to be positive. So if you're feeling emo and shadowy, allow yourself the space to fully feel all those emotions. You can swamp, you can scream, you can punch things, and then usually you get the clarity on what you need to do next.
So yeah, my whole point with bringing that up is just I feel like a lot of times people try to suppress the emotions because, again, going back to the law of attraction community, you hear you have to always be thinking the positive thoughts and saying the affirmations, and that's all great. But we're all humans, we have a human experience, and part of that human experience is not so great emotions. And whether you want to admit it or not, you can learn deeply from those negative emotions. And it also gives you a great deep appreciation for the positive emotions. So just try to not be so hard on yourself when they come up.
We use astrology in these patterns so that we give ourselves a break, not so we can beat ourselves up over natural things that are happening. So I'm all about, as I'm in the dark and Anita is in the light with this recording, I am all about the shadow personally. I'm not about like making myself home in there, but it's more like leaning into it so that you can kind of get out, right? So I think of life and time as cyclical. Um, there's cyclical nature all around us, right? The year is cyclical. So allowing yourself to go into the shadow allows you to get back that much quicker into the light.
Well, my dear, that was all the questions I had for this particular new moon recording. So I guess the last thing I have for you is, first of all, thank you.
Thank
And secondly, can you please go ahead and share with us your current offerings, your way of connection, and just how people can learn more about the wonderful soul that is Melanie Marisol?
Thank you. All right. So anybody wants to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Melanie_Marisol. Um, Additionally, my current offerings include a divine assignment reading and legacy building reading as well. They're together. So figuring out what you're here to be doing and how you can actually build the legacy you're meant to leave behind. That is a 90-minute reading. You get lifetime access to it. I also have an astrology informed PR strategy as well. And that is for people that you're a CEO of a small or medium enterprise company. You are doing very well financially, and you know that it's time to be out in the scenes, used to being behind the scenes, but now you know that you have to be visible. You might have to step up as a leader of your company. Maybe you have to, maybe your VP of marketing is telling you that you have to show up more on social media and you're a grown person and you don't feel like you want to do that. That is what the astrology informed PR strategy is for. So how can we create cultivate the emotional safety so you can show up online consistently, but not every day. We're not here to drain ourselves. And what works best for your astrological blueprint. So if anybody's interested in that, the link to check out my services will be left in the description below.
Well, thank you again for your time. And this is going to be the last new moon for the month. We will be back with you next month, I believe, yes, for our full moon reading. And we are going to be continuing this series on our full and new moon podcasts. In the meantime, if you want to go ahead and like or subscribe down below or leave us a comment asking us questions or letting us know what you think, we would love to hear from you. And thank you all for your time. And I just hope you guys have a great time integrating this new moon.
Thank you very much for listening.